Welcome, everybody, to the Red Zone Report post-game show here at Built in Buffalo, brought to you by PLB Sports and Entertainment, the makers of Josh's Jacks, the JA17 line of coffee, and the Stephon Diggs 14 line of hot sauces. Welcome to the show. Go Bills. Welcome, everybody, to the Red Zone Report, your post-game show here at Built in Buffalo. I'm your host, Izzy, and bringing in my co-host, co-founder of Built in Buffalo, Akeem Richins. Hey, Rich. Welcome back. How you doing?
Apologize there. You can hear me now? Hear me?
I was like, yeah, go on. I thought it was a second.
Nah, it's me. It's me. Izzy, I feel great. Big game, big victory. A hell of a performance, and this is what we want to see. We did what we were supposed to do against the Las Vegas Raiders, and it was great to see us actually do it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that game was, from top to bottom, excellent. It started off, with that Raiders touchdown. I know Bills fans, including myself, were like, "Uh-oh, like what are we in for?" And the Raiders, they had their drive, and that was it. They had their drive.
Yeah, for the most part, it was a great game overall for the Buffalo Bills. And like you said, when you looked at the very first drive, it was just like, you know what is going on here? What is happening here? Are we going to struggle in this game at home against the Las Vegas Raiders? And it was touch and go in the beginning. And as a fan, we're thinking, when was the last time we put together a good to dominant performance? Because we didn't see it against the New York Jets on Monday night. We didn't see that against the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoff game. And to be honest, we didn't see that against the Miami Dolphins leading up to the Cincinnati Bengals in the divisional round game. So it was a little worrisome. Like, what's going on with the Buffalo Bills? Do they have that dominant performance in them? And for us to come out and be dominant, especially after getting punched in the mouth at home the very first series, was very impressive to see as a Buffalo Bills fan, and it's good to right the ship.
Absolutely. And I was happy once we got that first touchdown and the Bills were kind of like settling in. And I was like, that looks like Josh. That's what he does. He does this well. This is exactly what we're looking for from Josh Allen. And, he took what they gave him, and then he took more after that. And so I'm seeing a bunch of comments, go Bills. Let's go Bills. Happy Sunday, King Rich. Happy Sunday, Izzy. Happy Sunday, everybody. Let's go Bills. And, my man Kim in the crowd, Mike, Shannon, Antonio, Terez. I've never seen him before in here, but welcome to the show. Let's go, man. Like this game was exactly what the Bills needed. They came off that loss to the Jets. Our defense played well last week, but our offense did not. This week, they were running on all cylinders. Defense was killing it. Offense was killing it. And we had some breakout players come through this game. Like some guys who we just weren't so sure about looked outstanding this game.
Right.
And, we'll start with the obvious one. James Cook, first career day, with over 100 rushing yards, and he had 7.2 yards per carry on 17 carries for 123. No touchdowns, but man, he just helped set the tone for this offense.
Most definitely, and we saw James Cook today perform as a runner. I always spoke about him being an excellent receiver out the backfield, and there was a scouting reports about his build and can he hold up and can he run between the tackles. But James Cook displayed some toughness in between the tackles, and he displayed explosiveness as well, and he ran the ball with force and physicality, and he set the tone early, right? In the beginning of the game when he ran the ball and he put that corner on his ass, and he showed a swagger and a demeanor to it, and I like the tone he set from the very beginning. And we got to give a shout out to the offensive line for helping the running backs set this tone, because we want to harp on the bad things of Spencer Brown and Mitch Morse and certain guys that don't play up to standards, but we have to praise them when they play excellent. And this is a day where we should praise our offensive line, because Spencer Brown played well. The entire offensive line was able to be physical and have a push in order for our running backs like James Cook and Damian Harris and Latavius Murray to be successful. So it was an all-around team effort for the Buffalo Bills in that offense.
You're not wrong, because the offensive line last week, Josh got sacked 5 times. We couldn't run the ball to save our lives last week. This week, over 180 yards rushing, 183 to be exact. And you're also not wrong about James Cook when you said, receiver. He had 4 catches for 36 yards, putting him over 150 yards from scrimmage today. James Cook put together a day, and that offensive line didn't allow a sack today, if I remember correctly. Did Josh get sacked once, I think?
I have to look into that. I'll look into that and let you know in about 2 seconds.
And we didn't hear the name Max Crosby unless they were saying, where is he today? Because he was a non-factor.
He was non-existent today. He was definitely non-existent today. It wasn't too much talks about Max Crosby at all, besides him having that I think he had a penalty late in the game where they mentioned him, but other than that, they did not mention Max Crosby much at all.
Yeah, no, they got 2 sacks on us. I see now.
Yeah, 2 sacks.
Robert Spillane and Devon Diablo. So they sacked us on blitzes. They had to send the house to get to Josh. Josh navigated the pocket beautifully, delivered the ball, whether it was short, medium. He dinked and dunked when he needed to, and then he took the nice deep passes when he could, with Gabe Davis cutting upfield. The Bills just dominated this game, like you said. Diggs, had a quietly good game too. Diggs, went out there. He had 7 catches for 66 yards.
Yep.
Davis, 6 for 92 and a tutty.
Yeah.
Where has this been, Gabe? Where you been?
So and we want to look at that, and I want to get back into Josh Allen in a minute, because I think he had, obviously that's our franchise quarterback, and he had his rough patches in the last game, and I want to talk about how much control he played. But when we talk about Stephon Diggs and having a quiet game, 7 targets, 7 receptions, 66 yards, I look at it as a very explosive game in terms of how he was able to play and how he was able to get the attention. The attention that he's able to get on a play-to-play basis is the reason why Gabe Davis is able to have 6 receptions, 92 yards, and that touchdown. So statistically, it may look like a quiet game from Stephon Diggs, but overall, he had a monumental game in terms of how he was able to draw attention along with those statistics.
Oh yeah, because he drew the attention away. But if you look at the way that Josh spread the ball out, Gabe Davis 6 receptions, Dalton Kincaid 5 receptions, James Cook 4 receptions, Khalil Shakir had that 1 touchdown catch, Dawson Knox 3 receptions, Latavius Murray, Deontay Hardy, Reggie Gilliam all caught passes. Josh Allen spread this ball around like he couldn't believe it wasn't butter, because this was just a masterclass of quarterback play from Josh Allen. This is what we've been looking for, since last year's Jets game. He had 1 game last year in the second half of the year where he was perfect like this, and that was the Dolphins game where he threw for 4 touchdowns and no interceptions.
And I agree 100%. We saw a much more controlled Josh Allen in this game today, and it was a much controlled game for the entire Buffalo Bills team. They only committed was it 4 penalties?
I think something like that.
In this game, 4 penalties and 0 turnovers. So that is for the Buffalo Bills in terms of when we struggle, how it could snowfall in terms of penalties and mental mistakes. For us to have those minimum amount of penalties and no mistakes as far as turnovers, it was definitely a great to see, and it gives us confidence as fans and the players to know that, hey, we can do this if we focus, play in and play out. We can play sound, mistake-free, fundamental football. And I love the way Josh Allen played today.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Josh Allen looked outstanding. He was out of his head. He was on the field. He was seeing the plays. He was seeing defenders that were blitzing. He was seeing defensive ends and how they were shifting and what direction he needed to move in order to, avoid the rush. And he just masterclass again. And Josh Allen, it's the Raiders, right? This is kind of one of those things. I called it this week. I said 38-17. I thought that Josh Jacobs was going to have a good game.
9 attempts, -2 yards.
Yeah, just wow.
And as much as we talk about Josh Allen, I want to give credit to another guy as well. Gotta give some kudos to Ken Dorsey for this game, man. It was an obvious emphasis during the week that Josh Allen made some mistakes and he had to take what defenses gave him, and that's exactly what happened. And I think Ken Dorsey is a part of that display. He gave and called the proper play calls at the proper moments in order for the Buffalo Bills offense to be successful. He rotated in the running backs. He understood down and distance and what running back to use at what moment. And Latavius Murray was able to be successful. And Damian Harris was able to come in and had a big kickoff on special teams, setting the tone. And was able to come in as a running back and show his toughness and physicality between the tackles. And James Cook displaying his breakout performance he was able to display today. It was a masterclass in Ken Dorsey's own right, because he's also a guy that's transitioning an entire offense in one season as a second-year offensive coordinator. And that's something we have to look into as well. Ken Dorsey is implementing this 2 tight end system that wasn't implemented last year, and he doesn't have the experience as an offensive coordinator while he's tying in all these things. So the circumstances he's under for a Super Bowl contending team and the job that he's doing and the job that he's done today, we have to give him his kudos and credit for, as much as we want to harp on him when he makes some critical errors. So great job by Ken Dorsey today.
Yeah, so last year our biggest complaint about Ken Dorsey was his play calling, right? It's like, he's calling awkward plays at awkward times. Last week we saw it too on the 2nd and 15 where he runs the ball in overtime, and then the 3rd and 2 where he decided to pass it, it gets intercepted. Those were the only 2 plays last week I saw that I didn't like. This week there was only one play I saw that he called that I didn't like, and that was the 4th and goal where we didn't get it and it goes off of Dawson Knox's hand. I thought we should have ran it there. We're on the 1-yard line. You have a 6'4", 240-pound quarterback, and he's getting a yard and a half, 2 yards every time you run a QB sneak. You QB sneak that in there, or you give it to Latavius Murray and let them rock. If you look at the touchdown by Damian Harris, you see how he dipped and then dove in underneath the whole pile? That's why you brought those guys here to do. You brought them here to do that. Run the ball on the 1, period.
Yes, and I love the small transitions that the offense is making. There's no more Tywan Jones in there that's taking up a roster spot. So now, instead of years past where the Buffalo Bills implemented 2 running backs and Reggie Gilliam, now they implement 3 running backs and Reggie Gilliam, and we see the difference in effects when you have opened up that roster spot and implement that third back. Each back adds a physicality and a dimension and an explosiveness if you're James Cook for the Buffalo Bills offense out that backfield. And it was an excellent job done today.
Agreed, yeah. And then if you look at the total rushing numbers, 35 carries. When's the last time we ran the ball 35 times? It was literally almost 50-50. It was 37 pass attempts, 35 rushes. That's dead even. That's 2 plays away from 50-50. That's like 49.5% to 50.5%. That balance right there seems to work very well for Josh Allen, because then you can keep the defense honest. And play action for him today was outstanding. Just all around the offense, it was a beautiful thing. Osiris Torrance had another good game. Mitch Morse played better today. Spencer Brown against Max Crosby, just with Dalton Kincaid chipping, but that was often enough. But still, most of the game, Spencer Brown on Max Crosby shut him down for the whole game. Deion Dawkins played well. You ran the ball this well, and we all know Connor McGovern isn't exactly the best run blocking guard in the NFL, and he was opening lanes up for James Cook, Latavius Murray, and Damian Harris. And so I'm actually quite proud of the way that they went out there and performed today on offense. Now, the defense, we'll talk about that too in a little bit, but man, this offensive performance was just all around nasty. Perfect play calling for the most part, perfect execution.
And of course, it was a lot of great things done for this offense. And of course, there's no game that's going to be, you're going to like 100%, like you alluded to that play with Ken Dorsey. And it's some things that we would like, or I would like to see. I know. Shout out Bill's chat. Josh. He made an excellent point on X today about Deontay Hardy's usage in terms of how he's being utilized in a short passing game, which I like. But at the same time, I think that he's an explosive player and can run intermediate and long routes as well, and can be used in those ways as well. So maybe as the season goes along, his game in the offense will evolve, right? And I like what Dalton Kincaid has been doing for the Buffalo Bills as a rookie thus far. 5 receptions, 43 yards, the short and intermediate passing game. He's working the zone. He's understanding the coverages. He understands how to get open, which is so critical at a young age for a first-round pick as a tight end, because it's not easy for tight ends to have immediate success in the NFL as rookies. It's a transition. It's a learning curve. And Dalton Kincaid is providing and proving that he is up for that challenge. And I like what he's providing for the Buffalo Bills offense. And he's not a guy that's going to go down easy. You're going to have to make the tackle. You're going to have to tackle that guy. He brings some physicality to his game. And I like what Dalton Kincaid has been doing for the Buffalo Bills offense.
Yeah, and like we thought before the season started, Dalton Kincaid really hasn't been taking anything away from Dawson Knox. He's playing like a totally different position. He's playing the F, whereas Knox is playing in line. So we're not seeing a lot of, lack of Dawson Knox on the field when Kincaid's out there, unless it's a play that doesn't call for a tight end, but it does call for a slot receiver. And so you mentioned Deontay Hardy, and I'm not really fond of the him at halfback. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
Yeah, I'm not liking him at halfback so far. He could prove me wrong later, but as of right now, it just seems like we gain minimally or we lose yards.
Right, and and that could all be by by scheme as well. It may be something that the defense is seeing, or the defense could be assuming and could be attacking when they automatically see certain things from him, as if he's going into motion on the backfield. That's an assumption that is possibility that he's going to get the ball, especially a guy at his size and his stature, and him probably being viewed as utilized as such. So, definitely some things to work on, but I like what I saw for the most part from the offense, the entire offense throughout the course of the day.
You know who's been surprisingly quiet that we all thought was going to have a bigger role on the offense? Trent Sherfield. We haven't seen Trent Sherfield. He's been on the field. He's been blocking. He's been running routes. No passes his way yet. I mean, if I'm correct, today Shakir got that touchdown. I think that's more passes to Shakir than to Trent Sherfield. It's
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing, but it just shows that the talent in front of him is that good to where they can afford to keep a guy like Sherfield, who is explosive, off the field, or in a specific role that he's playing. But
yeah, and again, it's one football. The Buffalo Bills, they have a luxury in terms of having a number of guys they can go to, and I think right now, they're utilized in ways where they can be successful. So when Trent Sherfield is in the game, not only the individual, but the entire team, the entire offense, the Trent Sherfield is an excellent blocker at receiver. That is something that he's good at for his position, above average for his position. So when he comes in and we want to run a particular run play, why not give us the best advantage to be successful, and part of that advantage to have the best players in the situations to make the play successful. And Trent Sherfield is a part of that. As the season goes along, his offensive game in terms of catches and separation and receiving yards will start to trickle in there in terms of his usage.
Yeah. I'm just a little surprised by how he's being utilized as a whole instead of him getting more touches. But I'm actually fine with that as long as we're winning. So let's keep these wins coming. We got Washington next week, right? So that's another team that we should, in my opinion, shine against. But right now we're talking about these Raiders. Did they do anything that surprised you?
The first drive was surprising. We're at home, we have the crowd, we want to kick off. I think I thought we would have set the tone early on defense. So for them to come and punch us in the mouth was a little bit surprising, but I think all that's negated because of the response from the Buffalo Bills. All in all, if you want to shift to the defense, nothing really surprised me at all. I think we played well overall on defense. There's talks about the running game and things of that nature, but overall, I think the defense played well. Concern, no sacks.
So, but they were getting there. Jimmy G was just doing what Jimmy G does and not taking the hits. He's never really been one to take the big hits unless he's running the ball. And, he really didn't run much today. He tried a couple times, but then he was getting hit. There was one play that could have been a sack, but he ended up advancing the ball like half a yard. I think it was Ed Oliver that could have had a sack there, or it was Rousseau. I think it was Rousseau. And so there were a lot of opportunities for them, but Jimmy G is just too smart a quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but he's good enough. He took a team to a Super Bowl, so I can't say he's a bad quarterback because he's not. He's definitely good quarterback, but he just knows when to abandon the play and ditch what he's doing. And to me, that's what really led to no sacks, because there were plenty of opportunities for Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, Floyd, and at one point Epinesa to get a sack, but he just threw the ball away.
So I'm gonna say a name on the defense, and you're gonna tell me how you feel about their performance. Okay?
So we go many different ways.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver showed up today. He showed up today. Ed Oliver, from the jump, was being disruptive. He's the one who got that first tackle for a loss.
Yes.
On Josh Jacobs.
Yes.
And from that
big
point
play.
Forward, it set the tone. He knifed right through, and he took him down in the backfield. And from that point on, Ed was dominant. I'm in a couple of group chats, as I'm guessing you are too, right? My Bills Mafia International guys. And so we've got some guys at Bills Mafia International who are more fan than they are film study or anything like that. And they were like, where's that Oliver? I was like, he's having an awesome game. What are you talking about? Like, he's got TFLs, he's got QB hurries, he's got pressures, he's doing his damn thing. And then he has another big play. And I'm like, there he is.
Yeah.
And to me today,
you play well.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up from Ed Oliver.
I give him a B plus today.
I love it.
Got a sack.
Of course, he could have got a sack, but I think he played well in the interior as well, man. He definitely showed up today. He popped on film, and that's what we want to see from Ed Oliver. You want to see him pop and show some flash plays, and he displayed a number of them today, where he can look back on film and on Monday or Tuesday and be happy with himself. Another name, Terrell Bernard.
Coming out party. Today was his coming out party. Man had TFLs. He had an interception. He was knifing through the defense and making, plays in the backfield, forcing running plays and passing plays to go different directions because he was able to read gaps. Like this was my big knock on Tremaine Edmunds last year. Is he's not very good at reading the gaps, and if he is, he did not trust his eyes. Terrell Bernard does not have that problem. See gap, hit gap, make play.
Yes.
He did that today. Last week he didn't do it, but it looked like the Jets were running a lot of offensive line pulls and stunts where he
guessed wrong. Yeah, he guessed wrong a lot. He see a hole and he attacked it, but he guessed wrong a lot, and that distributed to a big play. And
he also didn't shift the defense on that 183-yard run by Breece Hall last week. He didn't shift the defense. They were in the wrong gaps. They should have been over to the right one more spot, but they were off to the left, and that caused the Bills to not be able to be in position to make that play. Thank God Christian Benford got there. Still lost the game, but still. Edmunds' gap recognition was horrendous for us. Maybe he's better in Chicago. I haven't been watching them because I don't care about the Bears. But today, I'm going to go ahead and say that last week was Terrell Bernard's preseason game to where he had to kind of have those problems. And then, today was his, all right, I had my one gimme. Now it's time to go out there and perform. He had the interception off the tip. I mean, he's reminding me a lot of Matt Milano right now. They drafted him. They said he's a Milano type, but he's faster than Milano. And so he gets a round of applause from me.
Terrell Bernard he's instinctive. And once he make up his mind, he's going to attack. There is no indecisiveness in his game whatsoever. He may be wrong, but he's not indecisive. He see it, he react, he hits, and he reacted, and he hit, and he timed everything well today. Pass defended, interception. He's instinctive. He plays well in coverage. He provides speed for the defense. This is what Sean McDermott saw. This is, we questioned the drafts, and we probably still question some names in the draft. We have a big draft pick that's inactive for the second straight game, but this guy right here, Bernard, is starting to answer some questions in terms of why he was drafted so high when he was considered a fifth or sixth round pick in most scout reports, considered a reach in most scouting reports. So he's showing his just due in his coming out party, like you said today.
Yeah, and the coming out party is wonderfully timed. He didn't have much of an off season or much of a training camp in the preseason because he got hurt. He had the hamstring. The Bills didn't want to rush him back. Last week he had kind of an up and down game, and then today that lack of indecisiveness, that super decisive way he plays, just turned out to be perfect. He didn't miss an assignment from what I could tell today. And he was hitting hard, taking out running backs by himself, solo dolo. Let's go. And I'm very impressed with what I saw today. I'm not saying that he's the answer yet.
Right.
But today was a very good step in the right direction.
Yes. 100% agree. It's still Christian Kirksey out there waiting in the wings. He's getting acclimated with this defense. He should be, we're going into week 3. He should be a little bit more comfortable. We'll see how that situation take place and what the Buffalo Bills will do. But what it does do is give good problems to have, because at worst, somebody's going to be a very good depth piece for the middle linebacker position for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the near future, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. Another name, Gregory Rousseau.
Ooh.
Ooh.
He had a good day. He had a very good day coming off the edge. He sealed the edge off, but he didn't get a lot of attention. Like not a lot went his way. And when I say that, I don't mean like he didn't have his way with his offensive linemen, but they just didn't send any plays his direction, it seemed. Things seemed to go more towards Leonard Floyd's side. I don't know if that's because Russo's bigger than Floyd and able to set the edge better, or if that's just because Russo or because their offense was designed to go that way. But I think that he had a quiet day because he just wasn't targeted as much. But he had a good day. I can't say he had a dominant day because it could have been better, and he could have had that sack. But Jimmy G, got ahead of the line of scrimmage. Not a lot to say about Greg today. Not negative or positive.
So, if I have a concern with the Buffalo Bills defense is reverses, screens, and misdirections.
Yeah.
Those plays seems as if they give the Buffalo Bills defense the most trouble. So going forward, I hope that's something that can be emphasized throughout the week, and that's something that they can work on, because the pursuit, I think those type of plays, number one, exposes a couple of things in terms of your eyes, in terms of everybody doing their 111, in terms of everybody containing and holding their gap integrity. And the Buffalo Bills seem to struggle with doing that. And then they get exposed in pursuit by the lack of speed that they have, team speed on that defense. So if I'm going to nitpick a little bit about certain things, those are things that I would love to see the Buffalo Bills defense get better in defending reverses, screens, and misdirections.
Couldn't agree more, because that first drive where they punched us in the mouth, as you said, that's what they did. They ran screens, they ran reverses, they ran jet sweeps, they ran, all kind of little tricky plays. And I said it in our group chat, they ran real tricky plays on offense that drive. I don't know if that's really sustainable. And
right,
it wasn't, because the rest of the game, they got punched in the mouth, like repeatedly. And so they're gonna have to go home and clean that bloody nose and patch that lip and try and win their next game. But the Raiders definitely struggled against the Bills today. Like, struggled is not the word, really. They just kind of had to just take the beating. And I'm just glad we were in position to give the beating, because we were supposed to. We said before, like, they were supposed to do this to the Raiders. Right. The line was 9.5 to start the game, and I'm like, you better take that line. You better take that 9.5, right? Because it's going to be worse than 9.5,
right?
And the only thing I was wrong about is I thought the Raiders were going to score 17. I was right that the Bills were going to score 38. I got that number right. I thought that Josh Jacobs was going to have a good game and have one receiving and one rushing touchdown. He had -2 yards. This defense against the run, which last year we struggled mightily against, that doesn't seem to be a thing right now. So,
yeah, good game. Yeah, good game. Very good game. One game at a time approach. Very good game for the Buffalo Bills defense. Very good game for the Buffalo Bills team, staff, coaching staff, overall as a whole. Man, it was good to see the Buffalo Bills get back on track and getting back to what we're accustomed to seeing as of late from our Buffalo Bills team that's been to the playoffs and won AFC championships and has been the top of the league in terms of top offenses and being 30+ points per game. It was good to get back to seeing that type of Buffalo Bills football and on to the next with the Washington Commanders.
Oh, yeah, and that's going to be a fun game. The Commanders is going to be a fun game. But before we move on to that kind of talk, Micah Hyde kind of came up with a hamstring injury there. And Taylor Rapp went in there, didn't miss a beat. Our backups went in there on defense and still shut the Raiders down. Dane Jackson with that crack of a hit, jarring that ball free. Taylor Rapp having the wherewithal to grab the ball, take off down the sideline. Bills put the backups in the offense. Then James Cook seals his 100-yard game, and we take the knee and take the win. Micah Hyde, do you think we miss him a lot, or do you think that we're in good hands with Taylor Rapp?
We have to be able to have our players healthy and keep our players healthy. And Micah Hyde is one of our better players, our all-pro players on that Buffalo Bills defense, even at an advanced age, what people would say at 32. So with a hamstring injury, them soft tissue injuries combined with his age, you want to be able to take your time in that healing process, and you got to understand the magnitude and the situation. We're going into week 3, and we're playing the Washington Commanders. They're not a bad team. They have weapons: Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Scary Terry. They have guys, Chase Young. They have a good defense. They have guys that if you're playing around and don't bring your A game, they can beat you. But if you're the Buffalo Bills, this is why you went out and signed a guy like Taylor Rapp this offseason. You signed a guy like him because a guy like Damar Hamlin was going through his situation. You signed a guy like him because you didn't know Jordan Poyer was going to re-sign. You didn't know what would happen with Micah Hyde after this season, so we needed a safety regardless. So this situation is exactly why you signed a guy like Taylor Rapp. So if Micah Hyde has to take a game off against the Washington Commanders and come back week 4 healthy, I think that would be something that the Buffalo Bills is suited and capable of doing.
I agree. Micah Hyde, I think we're in good hands with Taylor Rapp. He played well when he was in there, as he was supposed to. But I was actually kind of frustrated when Micah Hyde went down with that injury. Last year, week 2, he got hurt too, but he was out for the season after that. This one doesn't seem like it's going to be too major. He misses 1-2 weeks, maybe, if he misses any time at all. It could be something so minor that is just, I couldn't finish this game. But this game was already over. So, to me, it's a least concern type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, telemarketers calling my phone.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the injuries definitely definitely an injury for standpoint. Talking about the offensive side of the ball, I think Mitch Morse went down. He went down with an undisclosed injury as well.
I'm hoping it's not a concussion, but that's why you have a Ryan Bates. That's why you have Ryan Bates.
This is why the Buffalo Bills prepared how the Buffalo Bills prepared when it came to constructing their roster. You can take a lot of slack and criticize Brandon Beane, but he's made some moves where you should be able to sustain an injury and fill the gaps. Not a long-term gap, because we're hoping it's not long-term, Mitch Morse, but if we had to plug in guys for a game or two like Rapp or like Ryan Bates, this is why we have them as critical depth pieces on the roster.
Yeah, and that was a big focus this year, because if you ask Bills fans, what was the weakest part of the Bills roster last year? And it was interior offensive line depth, right? We had Roger Saffold starting. That was a crime against humanity watching that man play. It was not it. Mm-hmm. And then you had Ryan Bates playing guard. He played fine. Mitch Morse played fine at center. They didn't play great or bad. They just played fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had Spencer Brown coming off that back surgery. He didn't look very good. Then you had Roger Saffold. So you had basically 4 spots right of Dion Dawkins where you had terrible to okay play on the offensive line. So what do? You sign Connor McGovern. You draft Osiris Torrance.
Mm-hmm.
You evaluate the rest of the guys you have on the team. Then Vandermark makes the team as a tackle. Then you bring in another tackle in, was it Fetu?
Mm-hmm.
So you bring in 2 guys to play the specific tackle spots in case Dion Dawkins or Spencer Brown goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have 2 more guys to back up your interior offensive line. So if Connor McGovern goes down, you have David Edwards. And if either the other two go down, then Mitch Morse or Torrance, you have Ryan Bates to play both those spots.
Exactly.
So there's no concern there on the interior offensive line if Morse can't play for me, because then you still also have Greg Mance on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to me, they shored up the most important part of this team that was lacking last year, which is the interior of the offensive line, because Josh Allen was under duress a lot of times coming down the center. Mm-hmm. And you never want that for your quarterback.
And now, don't get me wrong, these players that we're talking about and that we talk about being depth guys, and this is the reason why they on the team and why we signed them, they still have to come out and perform as such. They still gotta come out and show that these are why they're capable key backups. They are key backups on this Super Bowl contending Buffalo Bills team that can possibly be capable starters on lesser teams around the NFL. You know, so they have to go out and show that and prove their worth. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not asking these guys to come out and put stalwarts on defenses such as Philadelphia Eagles defensive line or Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line or New York Jets or San Francisco 49ers. But a team like the Raiders and a team like the Commanders, we want to be able to come down, hold the fort, and add these key piece guys to still be successful for our main guys to get healthy and come back for the more critical, crucial games against the more formidable opponents.
Yeah, and I agree. You want your guys to be healthy. You don't want to rush anybody back, and that's why you provide yourself with good, solid depth. If you look at defensive tackle, right? There's another position that we have a bevy of players. We got Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones starting, but behind them you've got Phillips, you've got Settle, and you've got Poona Ford, all of which rotate in anyway. Mm-hmm. But then if somebody goes down, like if Daquan Jones goes down, you have Poona Ford to plug in at one tech. And then on obvious passing downs, you plug in Jordan Phillips. Mm-hmm. So the Bills have strategically placed these guys in the team in order to make sure that they can facilitate what they want on the field.
Exactly, and I like it a lot. And even AJ Epinesa, I know Leonard Floyd, he even got dinged up a little bit with his ankle. AJ Epinesa, he showed, and he has some flash plays as well. Yeah. You know, he's in his contract year. We don't talk about him as much. I'm not sure what the future holds in terms of AJ Epinesa with the Buffalo Bills, but this game he showed some flashes and he popped out on the screen and made some plays and got into the face of the quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like you said, we didn't get no sacks, but we was very disruptive throughout the day in terms of getting in passing lanes and getting in the face of the Raiders quarterback.
Yeah, he had a key pass breakup in this game, or deflection, whatever you want to call it. But you know, he got in the backfield and Garoppolo was getting ready to throw it, and bam, ball was down, and I was like, "Oh, AJ, let's go." He also had that penalty, but you know, mistakes are made. We only had 4 today, so you know, I'll take a penalty here and there. Kincaid had one too, so you know we can't crucify one without the other.
Right?
They had their issues. They weren't many, but man, this game today, even though we were supposed to beat them bad, the lack of mistakes, the lack of mental struggle, the way that they went out there and proceeded to count the football and then take in the air what they could get or what was given. They maximized the efficiency that they roll with. As important as anything else.
Yeah. And we see it happen. We see it happen as a trickle effect for both sides of the ball. The Buffalo Bills, they're able to get pushed on the offensive line. They're able to have success in the running game because of that. They're able to take what the defense is giving them at first and being patient and being successful with the short passes, and it opens up because of all the success in the short and intermediate. It opens up a bevy of long passes and builds confidence throughout the game. And in the same aspect for the Las Vegas Raiders, when you can't run the ball and your best player is not being successful in Josh Jacobs, you're limited in terms of what type of plays you're capable of running, because now the defense can make you more one-dimensional. And when you're more one-dimensional, it adds the success rate higher for the defense. And for the Buffalo Bills, that advanced group, that group that's been a core and been together for a number of years, that's definitely a big advantage and equated to success for them as well on the defensive side of the ball. So we've seen it happen on both sides today.
Yeah. Agreed. And they just did what they were supposed to do. Everybody did their 111th, and the team clearly showed the profits of that labor by winning 38-10. Now, let me ask you a question here. If you had to give out the game ball, who would you give the game ball to?
That is an excellent question. I honestly think I would give the game ball to the offensive line.
Ooh.
The offensive line has been under a lot of scrutiny. We talk about the O-line in terms of the Jets game last week, or in terms of having a $250 million quarterback and not utilizing the resources to make sure he's properly protected. In today's game, they protected Josh Allen. I know he had 2 sacks, but that's minimum. We'll take that. It was, it wasn't bad at all.
Was it 5?
Definitely. He had time to read the pocket, scan the field, and make good decisions. The offensive line was able to make Josh Allen build trust and do proper things. So I think the offensive line played well in terms of protecting Josh Allen and getting pushed in the trenches in the running game, so all 3 running backs can be successful and James Cook can have that breakout game. So offensive line, I give the game ball to.
How happy are you to see the excellence that is O'Cyrus Torrence? We got this man in the second round. He was projected to us in the first round in many mock drafts. We go Kincaid, first round. Torrence is still there. You have to take him, and we do. How impressed are you by O'Cyrus Torrence?
I'm extremely impressed because of where he came from. He played 1 season with the Florida Gators. He is not a guy like he was a freshman and came into the SEC and was able to get accustomed to that type of league. He came in from a smaller school his junior year or his sophomore year, came in. It was a transfer from Florida, started all his games, and now is translating to the NFL rather quickly. 6'5", 350 pounds, that massive frame. I think he provides a physicality to the Buffalo Bills offensive line, and his mammoth body alone is just something that's a challenge for a lot of defensive linemen. And for him to get thrown in the fire first against Quinnen Williams and that Jets defensive front, now against the Las Vegas Raiders, and holding his own and showing in many cases he can possibly be the best offensive lineman for the Buffalo Bills sooner rather than later. We still got Deion Dawkins, but we going to see how O'Cyrus Torrence continues to progress throughout this season, and for the Buffalo Bills, it's definitely exciting to see, especially from what we didn't see from Cody Ford. Right. So it's definitely it's definitely something that us as Bills fans, we're happy at the performance thus far.
Absolutely, because a lot of people felt that Cody Ford might have been kind of a reach when he was drafted. He didn't have first round grades. He had second round, third round grades. Mm-hmm. O'Cyrus Torrence had first round grades. He was the best guard in the draft class, and he's showing it, man. And as my old drill sergeants would say when I was in the military, that man was 350 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, because he's out there manhandling people. Just like,
I love this. Love to see it. We love to see it.
Just hands on you, and you're not going nowhere. It's over. And even if he's late getting his hands on you because he had a first assignment, and he turns around, he has it's weird because he's that big, but he has bend to him to where he can put hands on you and then work his hips back in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see that a lot. You see that a lot from guys like Q Nelson for the Colts, who's another offensive lineman who's excellent. He's been excellent since he was drafted. I don't want to compare O'Cyrus Torrence to Quentin Nelson, but
no,
he could be on that trajectory as one of the better guards in the NFL.
For a guy his size, there was a lot of concerns about his movement. He shows the ability to get to that second level. He consistently do it, and I that's something that was a concern, like how the Buffalo Bills is going to utilize this guy. They have they have linemen that in Mitch Morse and Simon McGovern. They have guys that are more of guys that like to get out in space into that second level. And is Osiris Torrance at his size, 6'5", 350 pounds, is he capable of keeping up and having the ability of the offensive coordinator calling these type of plays and these run concepts and the ability to execute them at his size is something that we didn't know and we didn't see on the scouting report. And as Buffalo Bills fans, as a coaching staff, they look good in drafting this guy thus far. And it's still a learning curve. He's still a young player. It's still a lot of bumps in the road and bruises that he's going to go through. But for the first 2 games, it's definitely a good sight to see.
I love how they shifted to a power running game too. That's really been a factor in his development too. They shifted more from a zone gap scheme to a power run scheme. Like the guy in front of you, handle him, open the hole, running back will do his thing after that. And we have 3 running backs who are capable of doing that exact thing. James Cook, man, just today was a great day for him. We already talked about him enough at nauseum to start the show off, but man, James Cook he shined today. Whoa.
And you love to see it, and I love to see the Buffalo Bills understanding that each running back provides something different, adds a different dimension in Murray, Harris, and Cook. Yeah, most definitely.
I still hear you, so go ahead and
and it's great to see them all in the game at once. Damian Harris, he's able to provide that physical style similar to Latavius Murray between the tackles. And it's good to get a double dose of guys that can do that, because throughout the game, that's going to wear on defensive lines and defensive fronts. And you want to be able to have that physicality and show that dominant force. And that's something that the Buffalo Bills offense didn't have in years past. So I think being able to transition over and implementing that is something good to see. And Harris is also able to provide that special teams capability as well, and demonstrating what he can do and showing that deceptive and sneaky speed on the kick return. And that is something that is good to see as well. So these running backs are able to add and provide different dimensions on special teams and on the Buffalo Bills offense.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. If you look at the Bills and how they have been before James Cook got here, right? They had a one cut back in Devin Singletary, and they tried Zach Moss. So you had a one cut guy who was kind of slow. Then you had a power back. It didn't work out. Now you have James Cook, who is a elusive, speedy back who also has really good hands. Then you bring in Damian Harris, who's kind of that hybrid power and speed because he's got both, and he can catch the ball. Then you bring in Latavius Murray, who's we need 2 yards. I'm going to get you 2 yards. That guy. And he's still got speed at his age. He's 33 years old. He still has speed enough to, if he gets past your defense, you're not catching him. So I mentioned it in our chat earlier, too. He reminds me of a former number 28 for the Buffalo Bills, also for the Chicago Bears, the A-Train Anthony Thomas. He runs a lot like he did back in the day, but he's faster than that. So I'm really excited to see how this run game can really complement this pass game for the rest of the season with these running backs, because I am impressed.
Yeah, most definitely, and it brings me back to thinking of what Kelly Skipper, the running back coach, said to Nyheim Hines. I hope he gets healthy soon. In terms of they see a role for Nyheim Hines this offseason before he got hurt. So I know Latavius Murray isn't Nyheim Hines, and who knows? I don't want to say it's a blessing in disguise, because Nyheim Hines wouldn't have been able to provide that type of physical style and nature of running that he's being able to provide the Buffalo Bills. And I think that's something that's needed. But it's interesting to note and to think about what could have been with Nyheim Hines now that I see what Ken Dorsey is doing with 3 backs in the offensive system.
Agree there, yeah. And this backfield as a whole kind of reminds me of that 1 year where we had C.J. Spiller, Fred Jackson, and Marshawn Lynch. Like, you've got your speed guy. You've got two power guys, one of them faster than the other, but one more powerful than the other. It reminds me of that. But now we have a quarterback and receivers plus an offensive line to support that. Mm-hmm. Back then, we didn't have that stuff, and that's why we kept, having our issues. Now, this question here came in the comments. Said the only real question is, did our offense step up, or did the Raiders defense fail to play all 60 minutes as usual? Then it could be both. So the Raiders defense, to me, their guys were in position a lot. That's why we had a dink and dunk part of the game. And then, there were times where we had to really overpower them. I don't think that they were out of position. I just don't think they're that talented. They got Max Crosby, Morrig is there, Marcus Peters is there. But outside of that, I don't see a quiet
Diablo flashed a little bit. The linebacker, I believe. Diablo flashed.
Diablo. But there's not a ton of guys there that just jump off the page. And so the Bills did what they were supposed to. They manhandled them the whole game. Mm-hmm. And that was that.
Right. I agree 100%.
All right. What else you got, Akeem? Want to talk about next week, or are we getting out of here?
I mean, it's up to you. I'm willing to. I'm willing to enjoy this game. If we could give a quick thought. So you want to give a quick thought about next week? There's another team. Another team.
I'll give you a quick thought about next week. So we play the Commanders next week. They're starting Howell at quarterback. They won their first game last week, but this week they're playing the Broncos currently, and they're down 14-3 to Denver. So I don't know what we're gonna get out of them if we get anything impressive. Mm-hmm. I forget who they played last week. They played. I just switched it up right here. They played Arizona last week, and they beat them 20-16.
Okay.
So I'm not impressed. I see us smoking them too.
Okay. Any given Sunday though, we still got to come out, protect the football, limit the mistakes. Those things could give any team confidence to have upsets being made. So we still got to come out as a team, do what we got to do on our side of the field, on both sides of the field, and take care of business.
Well, I don't know how many different Bills podcasts or shows you watch. I watch a lot of them, right? Mm-hmm. Especially the professional guys, Matt Perino, mm-hmm. Mike Carolina, Dan Fates, and those guys. Those guys are professionals, and that's what we strive to become, right? Mm-hmm. So you take cues from them. But there's a saying that Mike Catalana specifically says. He says that the bad teams don't know they're bad until they're shown that they're bad. Like today with the Raiders. They won last week, but then they came to Buffalo and got their butts whooped by a superior Bills team that everybody knew was better. But people were like, but if we lose, I don't want to hear it. Well, we didn't lose. We went out there and we punched them in the mouth like we're supposed to. The Commanders are on that same level, if you ask me. Except now they're losing to the Broncos. And take that for what it's worth, but I think we should crush them too. This could be back-to-back blowouts for the Bills, in my opinion.
Yeah, hopefully, man. Hopefully we can come out and play another solid game, near perfect game on both sides of the ball, dominate time of possession again. Josh Allen can play another stellar game. His completion percentage is stellar right now. I really like the fact he threw an interception that I called back because of the legal hands to the face. Thank God for that. It's good to see Josh Allen statistically come out of a game without turning the ball over. That was good to see as well. And on the next week, Washington Commanders, we should take care of business the same way. But again, we have to go out and actually do it. This is why the games are being played. They do have some guys on the defensive line that can be disruptive, and Jonathan Allen and Chase Young. So they have certain guys that can go out there and make plays if you let them. So another game in the books we have to take care of, and I think we will.
I think so too. And I'm kind of glad that the schedule is falling the way it is. We have the Jets first. We got punched in the mouth. We see the Raiders. We see the Commanders, and then we see the Dolphins. And so that one is going to be a fun one. Dolphins come to Buffalo. I'm hoping to try and get up there, but we'll see. But this, it's going to be interesting to say the least, because we have 2 games here where it looks like we should just massacre these teams. Then we got Miami, our rival, so we'll see how that goes down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll see. One game at a time.
All right. Well, you good to go?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna watch the rest of. I guess I'm gonna catch the Dallas game, Dallas and Jets game, and I'm gonna see what happens.
All right, man. Well, everybody, thank you for being here. Go Bills. We love you very much, and you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Go Bills.
Good game. Go Bills, baby. Go Bills.